Greetings. This is iVideo. My name is John Savers, and I'm your host. I apologize for the lack of effect tonight. It was not possible to achieve it. The equipment is a little bit delicate, apparently, and without the engineer available to overcome the problem, I had to go ahead and do a program without the effect, the usual background which you see in most of my programs. I usually do my programs on the weekend, and the engineer is not available, and so that when these things go out of whack or out of position, it's hard to rectify, and usually is not rectified. I've had this happen in the past, and usually aborted the program, but because of the scarcity of studio scheduled appointments I have over this 6 months ending at the end of this 2001, I couldn't afford to do that. So we'll proceed with this look, and on that note, for those of you new to iVideo, this is a program which looks at history in a broad way. We may look at military history, or science, or arts, or entertainment, political economy. We may look at zoology, or biology, anthropology, or archaeology. Any of these things which we think may be important. We are ourselves people who try to fill in the gaps, so to speak. We think that the educational system presents an image which the establishment wishes presented, and that this image is a misrepresentation, somewhat in the same sense that comic mirrors in a carnival misrepresent the human body. So the historical body, shall we say, we think is grotesquely misshaped by the educational system. We do what we can to fill in the gaps, and hence we think of this as an educational project in part. We have been denounced roundly, so we feel that agents of the establishment don't care too much for what we are doing. Undaunted, we do continue, although I will say we have been the object, the subject, I guess I should say, of some pretty dirty tricks. But anyway, let us proceed. Now, part of that, however, I will say this much, is to gain a misunderstanding of my intentions and nature, as it were, for those newcomers to this country who are not of the European-derived people. I have in no way wanted to suggest that such people are unequal or to denigrate them in any way. What I have said is that they are not of European derivation. And when I say that there are different people, that their people are divided into species and so forth, this carries that same sort of message. We're just being objective. That is, if I and someone, a woman of a similar background, had a child, it would appear pretty much like us. And this is not achievable from, say, an Asian couple. An Asian man and woman will not have a child that looks like me, but rather like them. In the same sense, an Asian couple will not, an African couple will not have children that look like Asians or look like Europeans, but rather like Africans. Now, this is just common sense. Now, I have myself only stated that I believe that the European people should continue, and I'm all in favor of this. Apparently, many people who are not of European extraction don't really care one way or the other, and would just as soon perhaps see the European people become extinct. This is the drift one would infer from the hostility toward me in stating my desire that the European people continue on through history. Also, this view of mine is opposed to that of the establishment of the Masonic, Marxist, and Allied Jewish position. Now, many of you may think that this is far-fetched, but it's not quite as far-fetched as you think. And I'd like to bring some citations to this program to alert you to this, so you can better understand John Savers and his point of view. So on that note, let's put this on the board, please. We must realize that our party's most powerful weapon is racial tension. By propounding into the consciousness of the dark races that for centuries they have been oppressed by the whites, we can mold them to the program of the Communist Party. In America, we will aim for subtle victory while inflaming the Negro minority against the whites. We will endeavor to instill in the whites a guilt complex for their exploitation of the Negroes. We will aid the Negroes to rise in prominence in every walk of life, in the professions and in the world of sports and entertainment. With this prestige, the Negro will be able to intermarry with the whites and begin a process which will deliver America to our cause. Now, this is a citation from Mr. Charles A. Wiseman, Who is Esau? Edom, page 108, citing Israel Cohen, a racial program for the 20th century in 1912. It also appeared in the Congressional Record, volume 103, page 8559, June 7, 1957. Now, people, I have provided this citation in the past in another series, Celebration, which dealt with diversity, and quite a few complementary citations which were meant to alert the population to this animosity toward whites, to European-derived people, to be found within elements of Jewry, and particularly manifest apparently amongst the communists. But they are not the only ones in the sense that I believe that the Kabbalaized of the world, whether Jewish or non-Jewish, also have this notion in mind as a part of the evolutionary process. But I want to give you another citation just to be a second witness to what I have just said. So let's put this on the board. If anything, the law should encourage, not forbid, the intermingling of bloods. But legislation cannot change the human heart. The only way we can accomplish that, the only way we can achieve a final solution to racial prejudice, is to create a melange of races so universal that no one can preen himself on his racial purity or practice the barbarism to safeguard it. The deliberate encouragement of interracial marriages is the only way to hasten this process. And it may be that time is growing short. The dominance of our world has begun to shift like cargo in a listing vessel from the white races to the colored. The sooner we adjust to this fact, the better it will be for our children. For we must well acknowledge, even the most enlightened of us, that we will never completely eliminate racial prejudice until we eliminate separate races. Now, this is a citation from Mr. Charles A. Wiseman, Who is Esau? Edom, page 109. citing Mr. Rabbi Abraham L. Feinberg, a Maclean's Magazine article, September 5, 1967. Well, now, people, these citations which I have given are, I think, pretty much to the point that there are forces, powerful forces, which are very hostile to the continuing existence of the European-derived people, the white people, if you prefer, and that these desires amount to, in my mind, a genocide. I don't think that nice people commit genocide, actually, and I don't think that nice people embrace the philosophy, the ideas behind it. But nevertheless, there are clearly large numbers of people in this country who do. Therefore, a word to the wise. We have in the past in the program Celebration provided under the series Diversity even more citations of hostility toward the European-derived people and Christianity. And we think it's worth taking heed. We see the events of the political events of the present and not too distant past as reaffirming the idea of threat. We see the loss of national boundaries, borders, the in effect liquidation of borders, the use of economic ploys such as NAFTA to set the stage for regional government, NAFTA being pushed by the Rockefeller condominium, and Mr. George Bush, the President of the United States, is certainly someone who is all in favor of it. It is backed by the Masonic Marxist Order and allied jury and co-opted blacks and the Mexican Latinos who seem to be all for it and so forth. So it is something that's going to happen. There are many people, former military types and working people and whatnot, who only think of the flag in terms of the United States and the whole idea of suggesting breaking up the Union, as I have done, does not sit well with them. But nevertheless, their history as far as it goes, because the forces that are promoting the regional government are very powerful and will have it their way, whether these people like it or not. Now, the only way, I think, to change that is to do so promptly by a movement to reorganize the United States using the Constitution, the amendment process, and so forth, to formulate 3 or 4 separate, completely autonomous states. We consider that one possibility for east of the Mississippi to be what we tentatively call Freemasonstan, and here the people who want to have an amalgamation of all the peoples of the world and all the religions and so forth, the Masonic Marxist program and whatnot can go ahead and they have a little laboratory to work on, and as far as I know, they may join it with Europe and so forth and become a bigger unit. That's not really my interest. My interest is in preserving a place for the Europeans. We see the process of destruction of borders everywhere that the European nationhood has developed, and in some cases the nations have been destroyed completely, as in South Africa, which has ceased to have been a European-derived country. The whole process of immigration may create the same kind of condition in Europe, in Australia, and United States and Canada and so forth.